In a sun-scorched settlement on the edge of the frontier, Sterling Maddox, clad in a dusty coat, strode past 12 women lined up on a wooden platform. His eyes locked onto the 13th, a young Comanche woman bound in iron shackles. Unlike the others, her gaze didn't falter when he met it. The crowd, a mix of rough men and wary onlookers, fell silent as Sterling pointed at her. "That one," he declared. A bottle shattered on the ground. Cyrus Monroe, the merchant who ran this grim trade in human lives, stared at Sterling as if he'd chosen a wild animal. "Sir, you're mistaken," Monroe said, his voice cautious. "The others are better suited. This one's unbroken, fights, bites, untamed." Sterling drew a leather pouch from his coat, counting out gleaming silver coins, too pristine for a drifter's pocket. His movements were precise, practiced. "I said that one," he repeated, eyes fixed on the woman. The coins clinked onto Monroe's makeshift desk, drawing uneasy glances from the crowd. Something was off. The money was too clean, Sterling's demeanor too deliberate. Monroe's enforcer, Boone Carter, stepped forward, hand on his Colt. "Boss, maybe we ask this fella why he's carrying so much silver and what he's doing here." Sterling's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Just a man looking for a wife. Isn't that what you're selling?" The woman in shackles, Aiyana, stood unbowed despite her raw wrists. Her dark eyes flickered, not with fear, but recognition. She hadn't spoken in weeks, yet when Sterling approached with a small key, a key Monroe believed only he possessed, she broke her silence. "You're too late," she said, her voice clear. "They know you're here." The crowd froze. Monroe paled. "How does she know English?" he stammered. "She hasn't spoken in 3 weeks." "Because she's been listening," Sterling said, unlocking Aiyana's restraints. They clattered to the platform. "Learning who you are, what you've done. Haven't you, Aiyana?" Her name sent a ripple through the crowd. Monroe hadn't known it, to him, she was just inventory. Boone drew his revolver. "Nobody walks in with that much money and the right key. This man's law." Sterling's laugh was dry. "Law? In a place like this?" He gestured at the ramshackle settlement, the platform where women were sold like cattle. "The law pretends places like this don't exist." Boone's trigger finger twitched. "How do you know my name?" "Same way I know Monroe's been running this for 2 years, Sterling said. "Same way I know about the 17 women in your storehouse. Same way I know about the mass grave where you bury the ones who fight too hard." The settlement went quiet. Monroe's hand edged toward his gun, but Sterling's stillness, calm yet coiled, stopped him. "Who are you?" Monroe demanded. Aiyana spoke softly. "Tell them." "I'm Sterling Maddox," he said, and several men stepped back. "I'm not here to buy a bride. I'm here to collect a debt." Monroe's face turned ashen. "You're supposed to be dead. Reports of my death were exaggerated." Sterling's coat parted, revealing 2 Colts. "Yours won't be." The shooting began. Sterling's guns were out before Monroe could draw. One shot shattered Monroe's wrist, another dropped Boone before he cleared leather. Aiyana dove behind a cart as chaos erupted. Monroe's men charged from the saloon, but Sterling's precise shots disabled them without killing. Men clutched wounded limbs, their weapons scattered. "You always reached for your gun too fast, Monroe," Sterling said, reloading. "That's what got your brother killed." Monroe, clutching his wrist, spat, "Jacob's death wasn't my fault." "You left him to die in Abilene," Sterling said, his voice laced with years of fury. "But that's not why I'm here." Aiyana grabbed a rifle, checking it with a warrior's ease. "The women in the storehouse," she said. "We need to free them before more men arrive." "How many guards?" Sterling asked. 2 outside, 1 inside, she replied, her English flawless despite Monroe's claims. But there's more. This isn't just Monroe's operation. He's got partners, men with badges, government connections. Hooves thundered on the main road. A dozen riders, maybe more, approached with military precision. Monroe laughed through his pain. You walked into a trap, Maddox. Those are federal marshals with warrants for you, Willow Creek, Captain Morrison's death, desertion. Aiyana's face paled. Sterling, what's he talking about? Before he could answer, a cold voice called from the rooftops. Sterling Maddox, you're under arrest for war crimes. Surrender now. Sterling scanned the rooftops, 12 rifles, military positions. Captain Morrison sends his regards, the voice added. Or rather, Colonel Morrison. Aiyana's breath caught. Morrison ordered the raid on my village. Said we were hiding deserters. Burned everything, killed my family, sold the women. The truth hit Sterling like a bullet. Morrison hadn't died at Willow Creek. He'd orchestrated a massacre, framed Sterling's unit, and built a business trafficking native women. He's alive, Sterling whispered. Very alive, Monroe sneered. And tying up loose ends, like you, the only witness to Willow Creek. 3 years ago, Sterling's unit had been ordered to attack a Comanche village. They found only families, no deserters. Sterling refused to fire, and his men followed. Morrison's other unit opened fire, not on the village, but on Sterling's men. Most died. Sterling survived because Aiyana's father, Chief Running Bear, pulled him from the carnage. You saved me, Sterling said to Aiyana. Your village nursed me back to health. And Morrison destroyed us for it, she replied. The rooftop voice gave them 30 seconds to surrender. Sterling smiled grimly. Morrison doesn't know I didn't come alone. Rifle fire erupted from the settlement's perimeter. Sterling's surviving unit members, Tommy Whitmore, Private Hayes, and others, had been watching for days. They caught the marshals in a crossfire. Looks like the army taught us something, Tommy called from the water tower. Sterling pulled Aiyana toward the storehouse. Stay low. My men will cover us. They reached the storehouse, but Boone Carter staggered around the corner with a shotgun. Aiyana's rifle but sent him down. Nice work, Sterling said, shooting the lock off the door. Inside, 17 women huddled in fear. Aiyana spoke in their languages, Comanche, Spanish, English. We're here to help, but we need to move. Sterling handed out weapons from a hidden cache. Can they fight? They're survivors, Aiyana said. They'll do what's needed. More hooves approached, army regulars led by Colonel Morrison, his uniform gleaming with medals of deceit. Sterling Maddox, he called. Time to finish Willow Creek. Sterling stepped into the open. I couldn't agree more. But the world will know what you did. Morrison dismounted, hand on his saber. You're a deserter. Dead men don't tell tales. You murdered families to cover your crimes, Sterling said. Women, children, elders. Aiyana stepped out, rifle trained on Morrison. My village had no deserters. You killed them to silence your lies. Tell them about the gold, Sterling said. The Confederate shipment you stole. Morrison's face paled. You can't prove anything. Aiyana produced a pouch. Documents from my father, your deals with Confederate agents, bills for stolen weapons, gold payments. Sterling smiled. I gave those to Chief Running Bear for safekeeping. Morrison drew, but Sterling's shot shattered his gun hand. Stand down, Sterling ordered the regulars. Your colonel's under arrest for war crimes, theft, murder. Sergeant Reynolds, skeptical but curious, took the documents. His face darkened as he read. How long has this been going on, Colonel? Morrison pulled a derringer, aiming for Aiyana. Sterling's shot took him in the chest. Morrison fell, blood staining his medals, his eyes fading with hate and regret. Aiyana knelt beside him. My father would have shown mercy. I'm not my father. Reynolds ordered his men to stand down. Maddox and his people are under protection until this is sorted. The battle's aftermath was grim. Monroe, wounded, sat against a fence. His men, disarmed, littered the ground. Sterling's unit secured the marshals. The freed women emerged, cautious but hopeful. Aiyana organized them, ensuring their safe return home. 6 months later, in Denver's federal courthouse, Monroe was sentenced to life in prison. Aiyana's testimony, delivered in 3 languages, was devastating. The jury convicted Monroe and 6 officers in Morrison's network. 3 senators resigned, and the Secretary of War faced investigation. Outside the courthouse, Aiyana told Sterling, the last women reached their families. They're healing. Sterling showed her a letter from the New Mexico governor, offering him a territorial marshal position. I'll take it if I can choose my deputy. Aiyana read the letter, her eyes tracing the frontier beyond Denver. When do we start? Sterling grinned. They walked into the hotel to plan their next move, the courthouse bells chiming a new chapter in their fight for justice.